YouTube frogs, Mydei is finally here and he may remind you of a classic character of the Fate series. In this video, we'll be going over everything you need to know about Mydei in a digestible fashion and showcasing his power at E0. This is going to be done on the creator experience server, and of course, that means things are subject to change for full release, so keep that in mind. Let's start off with a full guide on how Mydei works. So, you know how we just had tnbee release and we discovered that she's one of the easiest characters to play? Well, now we have Mydei, and he quite literally plays himself. Once you build him up, 90% of his gameplay happens automatically, even if you are manually playing. The only thing that you will manually do is select the main target for your ult, and everything else will be auto-played. Now, this can be seen as either a positive or negative thing. I think for newer and casual players, a character that requires a lot less manual attention can be more forgiving for gameplay. But for theory crafters and min-maxers, Mydei might be seen as a low-depth, relatively boring character because of how much his kit happens automatically. It does make him the most hands-free DPS you can get your hands on, so let's take a look at how exactly he does that. When you first check him out in combat, you'll notice a couple immediate things. He's gonna have a lot of max HP. This is good. The number on his tooltip will go up as he loses HP via enemy attacks or his own abilities. When that number first hits at least 100, he'll go into his special state called Vendetta, which he'll probably stay in for the remaining of the fight. In this special state, he gains 50% more max HP, is immune to CC, and his skill changes into two different attacks, neither of which consume nor generate SP. Both of these attacks are described under a skill page and have different requirements for when they are used. Whenever he reaches at least 150 on his tooltip, he'll consume 150 points to immediately boost his action forward and use his more powerful attack. This will be the main loop that you'll see him do, and these actions are all automatic. When it's his turn and he's in his special state, you won't actually choose an action. He'll just do his default blast attack. And then, whenever you have it, his ult charge will self-heal a little bit of HP, gives him 20 charge points, deals blast damage around the main target, and taunts any enemies hit for 2 turns. Importantly, whichever enemy you choose with the ult as the primary target will be the focus for his future enhanced Godslayer attacks. Once he's in this Vendetta state, this is the only way to reliably choose the primary target focus. And then finally, using a technique at the start of battle will produce a field that inflicts daze on enemies. Attacking will deal AoE imaginary damage, taunt all targets for 1 turn, and start him off with 50 charge points. You'll also notice that with this technique providing 50 charge, Mydei's first turn will usually use his skill to sacrifice 50% current HP and deal blast damage. If he starts the battle with max HP, which is usually the case unless you're repeating fights, this will provide 50 added charge and push his total to 100, instantly entering him into his Vendetta state. This is an ideal start for him, as the rest of his kit will just autoplay. So he's basically a big tanky DPS that taunts enemies, is immune to CC, and deals a crap ton of blast damage. Basically Blade, but majorly upgraded, and has the HP to survive heavy hitting attacks. Rip Bald. Overall, his kit is the most straightforward DPS created thus far, with built-in CC immunity, tankiness, and blast damage. With recent support releases like tnbee, his current synergies are pretty dang solid to sustain his HP loss and also deal consistent DPS. So now that you have a general grasp at our autoplay god, let's dive into the nitty-gritty trace details. Talent. So this gives all the details of his charge number, that tooltip thing. For each 1% of HP loss is 1 point of charge, max 200. First time that he reaches 100, he'll enter the Vendetta state. In the Vendetta state, he'll restore HP, he gets action advanced by 100%, his max HP increases by 50%, defense is set to 0, and he'll use Kingslayer immediately. If his charge is ever at least 150 points, he'll gain an extra turn and then use Godslayer. When he's about to die, he'll remove Vendetta state and recover 50% max HP, but you'll see that this actually doesn't happen. Technique. Leads the fight and attacks with Mydei, dealing AoE max HP damage and taunting all targets for 1 turn. This starts him off with 50 charge. Skill. So the base skill will sack 50% of his current HP and deals blast damage. This will very often send him to 100 charge and put him in Vendetta state right after, so you will only use this base skill once, most likely. Kingslayer. Default Vendetta attack. This sacrifices 35% current HP and deals blast damage. If it's his turn, it will automatically be used with no input from you. Godslayer. Enhanced Vendetta attack, used automatically when he reaches at least 150 charge. Consumes that 150 charge and deals huge blast damage. The damage multiplier here is quite significant. It's almost 3 times stronger than his Kingslayer, and also it's max HP scaling, which you'll have a huge HP pool, and it's almost twice as strong as his ultimate. Speaking of ult, this restores 20% max HP, adds 20 charge, deals blast damage, and taunts all enemies hit for 2 turns. The main target you pick for the ult will become the main target for future God Slayers until the next ultimate. And then lastly, basic attack. Literally, it just does nothing. You won't ever use this. And then for his extra trace nodes, Mydei gains a lot of combat quality of life that basically makes him nearly unkillable in his Vendetta state, while also providing a lot of crit. A2 trace. He gains 3 extra lives in his Vendetta state, basically quadrupling his effective HP. That's where we go back to the talent, where it says that he will leave Vendetta state. That's a lie. He won't actually. He has 3 lives. So if he's 12,000 HP in Vendetta state, he'll need to take 48,000 HP worth of damage. That's 3 additional lives to fully use up the A2 trace and actually leave this state. A4 trace. While in Vendetta state, he is immune to CC. This is actually crazy value for him. It synergizes very nicely with his extra lives and his ultimate taunts. He's going to be the primary focus for most enemy attacks, so he can pretty easily eat up a lot of crucial crowd control that would otherwise target your other team members. A6 trace. So this is where he gets his offensive combat, converting max HP into crit rate. The sweet spot here is 8,000 base HP. This is battle start, not in Vendetta form. In this way, he'll be receiving 48% crit rate, 100% charge efficiency, and 30% incoming healing. So this allows him to start off with huge base crit rate and build towards AK HP without sacrificing his offensive ratio. 100% charge efficiency just means double charge when attacked. For example, his own skills, like Kingslayer, will charge the same amount from HP loss. So 35% current HP will be maximum 35 charge, depends what his current HP level is. But enemies that deal 35% of his max HP will now provide 70 charge to him rather than 35. It's pretty nice. So these 3 trace nodes combined make him very tanky, very strong, and CC immune DPS, which honestly just sounds crazy. All right, so talent priority. Skill is top priority. It contains both his Kingslayer and Godslayer damage multipliers. Godslayer is his highest hitting attack. Ult is next for damage multipliers and a little bit of HP recovery. And then talent is as needed. The only thing that scales is the HP recovery here. Basic, you don't need to level it. You'll never use it. And his extra trace nodes continue to supply him with offensive capability. He has 5 crit damage nodes. He's total to 37.3 crit damage. He also has 3 HP nodes for 18% HP and then 5 speed. All right, so now let's talk about his Eidolons and if there's anything crazy going on in the first 2. As always, no Eidolon is ever needed, but some could provide a lot of value at early stages that they could be worth considering. E1, increased Godslayer damage, 30% damage multiplier increase, and its original blast damage gets upgraded to true AoE with no fall off from the primary target. So basically, you'll see in the trace node here, the fall off is 280 to 168. With E1, it'll be 280% max HP to every enemy. So this has the best value against 5 enemy waves. He used to not be able to hit all 5, but now he can and at max multiplier. He still gains upgraded value against 3 enemies compared to Blast and a very minor upgrade to single target. E2, the classic defense ignore addition is here at 15%. And he now also receives charge from incoming healing on top of taking damage. So this is actually pretty nice because in certain team comps, he might be getting like double charge from this. The first 2 Eidolons are very strong, but they're not meta-defining, making his base E0 state quite good. E3, E5 are trace levels, and then E4 is plus 30% crit damage and 10% max HP recovery upon taking damage. So the crit damage is nice free damage, and the 10% max HP recovery is quite nice, not because he's going to die anytime soon with his 3 revives, but because he gets a little extra charge juice from the E2. E6. Skips his setup time immediately when entering Vendetta state and reduces Godslayer requirement from 150 to 100 charge. This effectively makes his Godslayers 33% more frequent, which is the heaviest hitting multiplier of his kit. So yeah, big booms, yay. Overall, with these Eidolons, Mydei is definitely strong, and he gets stronger with these. However, they aren't game-changingly necessary like the most recently released Tribby, so there's no pressure to pull for more. All right, now let's get into his light cones. As a destruction character, he's looking for destruction light cones that prioritize HP scaling and crit stats. His signature is quite loaded. It provides him max HP, incoming healing, HP consumption on skill or ultimate, as well as 30 to 60% damage bonus to that attack if the HP consumed is over 500. With at least 5k base HP, which means 12,000 plus in Vendetta, 6% consumption is at least 720, so Mydei will be getting maximum value from his signature Lycone. Most importantly, the 6% consumption does also add to charge, so he's getting 6 extra charge for every attack he uses, including ult. Definitely super valuable, and his strongest value Lycone by far. If you're not able to get his Lycone, then we've got some fallbacks to use. We've got the old Blades Lycone. This is the OG destruction scaler. Now the mantle will fall to Mydei. You get crit rate from this, you get max HP from this, you also get damage bonus from this. This option is second best behind his signature. Otherwise, the 4-star Lycone, a secret vow, provides unconditional damage bonus and extra damage bonus if enemies have more HP than the user. The value of this passive will be maximized for most of the endgame fights, especially for elite boss enemies, because they will have a massive HP pool that will be higher to the wearer's current HP. Beside those three, there aren't many more high value Lycones for him, but you can still use Ninja Record for the max HP. And the reason is because we don't need attack scaling and we don't need break effect, so that removes a lot of the other Lycones. Now, here's the thing. Be careful not to sacrifice too much of the Lycone's base HP, as it will make it more difficult to reach the 8k threshold. Alright, relics. So, best in slot is going to be 4-piece Scholar set. 2-piece provides 8% crit rate, and 4-piece provides skill and ult damage bonus. He'll be using his ult quite frequently from taunting all enemy attacks, so with this 4-piece, it can be properly timed to add 20 charge to force a Godslayer for the extra 25% damage bonus on the next skill. If you don't have this 4-piece set for him, you should really farm for it, but you can always use Longevous Disciple 4-piece as a placeholder. So the Disciple set is the OG HP scaling set for Blade that provides max HP and 16% crit rate. Then for 2-piece Planar ornaments, we have two primary options. 2-piece Bone set will be best in slot for more max HP and 28% crit damage. 2-piece Rudolin Arena will be a close second, providing 8% crit rate and 20% skill damage increase. Now be careful. When you don't use the best in slot options for him, you might have a crazy amount of free crit rate. His base A6 trace provides him 48%. Premium supports and these relic sets provide additional crit rate. It is pretty easy to overcap his in-battle crit rate, so just be mindful of this balance when optimizing his relic substats. For main stats, we got HP or crit damage body. Boots, we have speed. Orb, we have HP or damage percent. And then rope, we have just HP percent. First priority will be HP main stats until you reach at least 8k base HP. It is his strongest scaling stat and also provides that crit rate from A6 trace. If you are able to reach it with 2 HP main stats, you can either replace the body piece or the orb for crit damage or imaginary damage bonus. The rope will always be HP percent because you don't need ERR for him. Now, just as an example, if you are running a 4-star Lycone, the base HP loss will be noticeable and you will likely have to run triple main stat. With Signature, I'm at 9k here. If I switch from Signature to, for example, a Secret Vow, I go down from 8.9k to 7.6k. So I'm still with triple HP main stat. I'm losing a fair bit of value here. As we mentioned, ERR rope is not necessary. He will constantly be taking enemy attacks, being funneled by his supports, and attacking quite often himself, so his ult uptime is basically a non-issue in most scenarios for that taunt. Alright, team comps. So with Mydei being the hypercarry DPS and tank of his team, we can reliably build around him in 2 ways. 2 support, 1 sustain, or screw the sustain and run triple support. Since he's a standard HP scaling DPS, most of the attack buffers, which include Robin, Tingyun, Asta, Sparkle, or Bronya, will lose a bit of value with him, so we prioritize general damage percent, crit damage, action advancers, and universal rare buffers. Tribby will be a meta staple in this comp, with a res penetration and vulnerability percent, and also has the added benefits of making Tribby tankier with Mydei's massive HP pool. For the other support, we'll prioritize Sunday, even if Mydei doesn't have a summon. A huge amount of crit rate and crit damage, action advance, and also ult battery, Sunday is an insanely strong support for all of Mydei's needs. For the sustain option, if we're using one, since Mydei's HP pool is so high, he gains the most value out of characters that provide constant indirect healing. The 2 sustains that fit this build pretty well are Gallagher and Luocha. The Besotted debuff from Gallagher's ult on enemies will provide extra value in the indirect healing because Mydei, with all of his attacks, they're blast, so he gets triple value from it. And Luocha's Abyss Flower Zone will also provide indirect healing when allies attack, also benefiting Mydei. Huohuo is also an option for her raw healing and energy funnel, allowing Mydei to ult slightly more frequently for his own self-sustain and Godslayer control. Now, if you lack some of the premium support options here, you can always default to RMC for at least 1 slot. If you can, keeping Tribby in is quite a lot of value for her aura buffs and SP positive kit. Mydei is SP neutral. He neither consumes nor generates SP, so the other 3 carries in your team will be managing them. An action advancer will ideally be spamming skill on most turns, which leaves the sustain and the other support to balance SP. The comfortable baseline for Mydei's team comp would probably look like Mydei, Tribby, RMC, Gallagher, and the best in slot sustain comp would be Mydei, Tribby, Sunday, Luocha, or Huohuo. In these cases, Mydei still prefers to be in slot 2 or slot 3, and this is because even though he does have a taunt, he wants to be attacked most of the time. This gives him the greatest chance with blast attacks if they're attacking your other characters. So, if you don't have sustain, you're just going to add another support to the mix. we have a couple solid options. Sparkle is a pretty solid choice by providing both more action advance, but also more skill points. This reduces the skill point pressure of heavy skill funneling when running 3 supports and 2 action advancers. Jiao adds more vulnerability percent. Pella also adds def percent down. It just depends on what you have and what you want to run. In general, even though Mydei is an HP scaling hypercarry, he still has a lot of support options you can synergize with, even if you don't have many premium choices. Now onto the important questions. Is he recommended to pull? While he does have a pretty juicy kit, his playstyle being almost completely auto can be a turnoff for players. In my opinion, I view casual players and meta enjoyers to value his high-hitting, low-maintenance playstyle. Theory crafters and hardcore manual players may be quite annoyed with his design. I personally think his kit is very strong, but I can understand that it's not a cup of tea that everyone will enjoy. If you do plan to pull him though, I would recommend pulling for his light cone, as it is very overloaded and vastly stronger than any other light cone option. But I understand, if you have a rusting blade somewhere, he can pass his light cone over to Mydei and retire in peace. While his Eidolons are quite beneficial to him, none of them are strictly necessary to make his gameplay more enticing. His E0 strength is very, very solid. Overall, I think Mydei is a safe choice, but unnecessary if you're already clearing all content. Being super tanky, immune to CC, infinite lives, taunt enemies, nice abs, and deal insane blast damage, these can reduce the stressors of endgame content by trivializing mechanics. Alright, let's get into some quick showcases. Alright, so here we've got the premium comp with Mydei. With sustain, we have Luocha, we have Sunday for action advance, Mydei's our hyper carry, placed in the second slot, and then Tribi is our rare universal buffer, basically just aura buffs, doesn't need to do much, just sets up her stuff, and then just autos. All right, so we're gonna set up here. We have Mydei's days here. Doesn't matter, we can enter battle with Tribi. It'll still give Mydei his 50 chart at the beginning of the battle. All right, so let me first immediately proc Tribi's ult. Now we have both buffs up. Mydei's already almost at 100 charge. He gets 100 here. Enter Vendetta state. Now up to 15k HP. I have some free skill points here. I want to get Luocha's ult as fast as possible. Just maybe we can zero cycle this. Action advance. Ooh, I didn't need to do that. This is a mistake. In previous runs, he didn't get his ult immediately. But he does here, which kind of sucks because that means I would rather have done this after he ulted, but it's okay. Alright, I'll just send it here. Really unfortunate that I pressed that right as he got it. Let's see how close we are to zero cycling this. Godslayer. Alright, just basic here. Yeah, blast attack is fine. I'm gonna Luocha ult right away. Doing this just for the extra damage, I don't think it's gonna be enough though. Yeah, we're just shy. Might be just shy here. Oh, it's literally like a fraction of an HP on that second mob. Okay, well if we ran Sustainless, we would have zero cycled that first wave. I need to get Mydei's ult as fast as possible here to taunt. So we are a little bit. I'm gonna do this to remove debuff on Tribi. Okay, Bizflower's up. Got Godslayer. I'm gonna ult right away just so we get the taunt up on Kafka and all of them. All right, now we can boost up. Get another attack in. Almost at Godslayer. There we go, Godslayer. 32% there. He's taking more damage. Mydei's almost has ult. Have ult here. Just proc it. Mydei will go, and then Mydei has buff right afterwards. I think we might be one cycling here, not zero cycling. Okay. Yeah, it's one cycle. All good. Pretty good. All right, so we're running it back here. We've got a more F2P-ish showcase here. We replaced Sunday with RMC, and we replaced Luocha with Gallagher. I'm keeping Tribby in because, well, Tribby is just one of his strongest supports. Those 2 aura buffs are so important for him. And then we have Mydei, of course. So in this, we are starting with 28 cycles. We're gonna see how we do here. We got 3 passive techniques. We got Trailblazer, Mydei, and Tribby, and then our active can be Gallagher. This will still be able to get Mydei to taunt enemies in the first wave. So set up. And then enter with Gallagher's active. So still getting full benefit here. I need to proc Tribby here. Okay. Set up Mem. And we did not get hit by that, so I am going to need to use my skill here to enter his form. Only time I'm ever going to actively use his skill, and then afterwards he's going to autoplay himself. Okay, this turn buff is good. We're gonna be able to go and then immediately use Godslayer after so I can get the taunt on Big Lion Boy. Okay, Godslayer. Big damage. All right, now Gallagher can ult. Into an EVA, into Tribby's extra ultimate. She'll get it up again. Don't need to worry about this. Just extra chip damage to help us. Okay. Close to 0 cycle, but gonna be a 1 cycle for this first wave. I have spare skill points here. I'm gonna charge up for Gallagher's ult on the next wave. All right, so we almost have the taunt ready. I have 3 skill points. I'm gonna use Mem here. Tribby still has 2 turns, so we should be good. Get us closer to ult. Mem. Okay, is this enough? It is enough. I am going to be able to taunt all 3 here, which is great. Tribby still has 2 turns. Immune to CC, OP, GG's. We have 1 more turn. Okay, insane damage, pretty good. I'm gonna proc all my ults as I get them because we are about to finish this. I have skill points here. We can do this. Into ultimate Basada debuff. Into Tribby's ult. This is just extra chip damage. Into enhanced basic. Is this enough to get ultimate? I think I'm gonna be short. Yeah, I'm gonna be a little short. It's okay though. This is enough to get Mem support. Might be. But I don't think this is enough to kill her on this wave here. It's unfortunate, but if we had Godslayer here, I think we would have had it. So I think we're 6 charge off. And then this should be boom. 2% HP. Okay, so we were a little bit off. This ult kills. So how many cycles was this? For the F2P-ish showcase, it was 2 cycles. Okay. Solid. All right, and finally we've got the Sustainless option. So we're opting to switch out Luocha or Gallagher, and we're putting a 3rd support, putting in Sparkle for both the skill points and the action advance. Let's go. Alright, so classic first start. Get Tribby's ult, so we have both buffs on the field. Got Mydei's taunt, so we will be vendetting right here, which is great. Alright, action advance here. We want Mydei's taunt up ASAP. Get Sparkle's buffs going. Alright, here, action advance. Into Mydei's own ult first. Taunt these boys. And Sunday to refunnel. Alright, so ideal situation here is we want to save Mydei's ult for the next wave so we get immediate taunt off. See how that goes. Push it forward. Okay. We don't have taunt immediately available, so we are hoping we don't. Okay, good. Nice. Got kind of lucky there. That's pretty good. And now we're basically guaranteed. How close am I here? Okay, yeah, I think we should bump him up. Okay, using our God Slayer to our, ult to our advantage. Get the taunts. Almost ready for a God Slayer. There it is. Damage 1.23. Very nice. We're taking a lot of free damage as well, which is very nice for us. We still got Trippy's buffs up. Okay, push forward here, and then we got another push forward from Sunday. And this should be good, because we'll get the push forward, and then he'll be able to use God Slayer right afterwards. And we also got a free Trippy ult, just for good measure. Alright, Sunday pushed up, and it should be 0 cycle. Pretty easy. There he goes. Into God Slayer, into dead. Nice. Alright, 0 cycle. Very, very solid. So with those 3 showcases, we got a pretty good overview of what Mydei can achieve. As you guys saw, basically the only thing you need to care about for him is when to ult. And when to ult is pretty important. Ulting on various waves will help. It's our only form of taunt, and that taunt is really important, especially if you're running Sustainless. On that Kafka wave, ideally we would want to actually save Mydei's ult right when we enter that phase so we can immediately taunt them and then prevent Kafka's domination on any other character, because Mydei is immune to CC during his Vendetta state, so you can basically tank all the CC for your entire team, which is pretty nice. The sustain comps were still pretty good though. Premium sustain 1 cycle, F2P sustain with RMC 2 cycle. I kept Tribby in all of them because Tribby is just way too broken, and of course with those rare universal buffs, res pen and vulnerability percent with basically 100% uptime. It's a no-brainer for Mydei since he has a bunch of HP percent. He is getting a bunch of crit from his supports, and yeah, that's what we need for him. Overall, pretty solid though. 2 cycle, 1 cycle into 0 cycle. Let me know what you guys think of him. Personally, I do think that his gameplay for newer players, I think is godsend, right? You don't really need to think too much about how his gameplay is. And for newer or casual players, I think that is a really good thing. But if you really like manual playing and you like the nuance and the min-maxing and the theory crafting of his type of playstyle, you won't like him because you literally don't even do anything even on manual, right? With the minute it is his turn, even on manual, he will choose whatever ability he has at that point. Always going to be the default Kingslayer attack, and then when he has 150 charge, he will do Godslayer. Just those 2 rotations, and then the only thing he'll do when he has his ultimate, you will pick the primary target for Godslayer and then taunt the 3 enemies around that target. Cool? Yeah. So let me know what you guys think in the comments about him. I think he's pretty cool. I mean, I really enjoy autopilot characters, so he's gonna be a nice addition to my roster. Let me know if you guys are pulling for him. Overall, I do not think he's a must pull. I think that we have a lot of nice HSR characters, and if you do manage to pick him up, I do recommend his light cone. There's a lot of stats that you get from his light cone. Not only does it give him raw HP percent and incoming healing, but this consume HP really adds to his charge. It adds up a lot over time, and then you get extra 60% damage bonus because you're always activating this passive. So that's basically it. Thank you guys very much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed this early access showcase and a full guide on Mydei, and we'll see you guys on the next video. Take care.